Dana has our full forecast. That said, a lot of ski resorts taking advantage of all of that fresh snowfall.
I know we had a ton of snow in the mountains over the weekend. However, now we're going to transition into rain. So even though today kind of feels very wintry, a bit dreary out there, and really the vibes like that are not going to be changing much this week.
See a lot of that this week, yeah.
I know, lots of cloud cover, lots of rain, and today was kind of the setup for that. So early in the morning, the mountains got some sunshine, but we're all clouding up pretty quickly by the time we got into the afternoon, and mostly cloudy to overcast skies is what we're expecting for much of this week, along with some rain showers. Now, overnight, we do have something else to talk about, which is the winter weather advisory for northern Maine stretching down into the mountains of New Hampshire. Now, this is in effect because we do have some ice that we're expecting overnight tonight. However, we're not expecting much. This is kind of a precautionary measure just to point out in the purple areas where that ice is expected, but we're not expecting nearly as much as we saw over the weekend, just some possible slick spots on the road early tomorrow morning. And here's a better look at kind of some of those areas here. The lake glaze is possible on those untreated surfaces in northern Maine, back into the foothills and mountains. However, there's no power outage risk here because we aren't expecting that much ice in total. So overnight tonight, still seeing those scattered showers through mostly cloudy skies, so our temperatures won't drop that low. However, in the mountains, we'll be cold enough to see some of those freezing rain showers, especially through northern Maine back into the mountains there. You can see that in the pink color, and those will continue overnight tonight. And then once we get into the day tomorrow, it's going to be really just scattered showers throughout the entire day, low clouds, very kind of dreary feeling. And that'll continue through Wednesday morning. This is at 10 a.m. More consistent showers move in Wednesday night, and some heavier rain, especially back into the mountains and into New Hampshire. And that consistent rain is what we're going to see as we move into the day on Thursday, because we're going to have a front that's going to stall just off the coast of Maine. So that's where we're going to see this kind of consistent rain continuing over much of the week because of that stalled front. Now, exactly where that front stalls is kind of going to be indicative of where we're going to see the highest amounts of rainfall. So if the front manages to stall a little bit closer to the coastline, we'll get a little bit less rain up in northern Maine. But if it stalls a little bit farther inland, then the entire state is going to see more of that rain. Now, on the back end of this system, by the time we get to Friday, we'll start to clear out of western Maine. However, we do turn a little bit colder, so we'll have some wintry mix move through areas in eastern Maine Friday evening and into early Saturday morning. But overall, we are going to clear out as we get to the weekend, so the Easter weekend activities look like we'll be okay. So this is where we're looking at for future rainfall. Again, that's a bit more dependent on where exactly that front sets up. So right now expecting about 1/2 to 2 inches of rain, though right now a little bit more in down east Maine. We'll watch if there are any flooding concerns as we get a little bit later this week. So rain forecast, got that small craft advisory in effect until Wednesday at 8 p.m. So you've got some gusty winds off the coast there. So our 7-day forecast is a little bit dismal looking with all those raindrops icons. About temperature-wise, in the mid-40s to upper 40s, closer to the coast. So it will be a little bit warmer as we get throughout this week. So in that sense, it will be a little bit more spring-like. But we've got just a lot of rain to talk about each day this week. And then Brian and Amanda, I just want to point out once again, overnight tonight, just expecting a little bit of ice on those slippery surfaces up in northern Maine, but nothing like we saw this weekend. So I don't want people to panic about that.
Yeah, that's good
Thankfully.
news.
Yes.
All right, Dana, thank you.